Hey, welcome back to our series on beating imposter syndrome. Today, we are tackling a huge one, our relationship with failure. We're going to dive into how to turn those painful setbacks into actual stepping stones. And this is absolutely key for building real, lasting confidence. Seriously, just take a second and think about it. When you make a mistake, whether it's big or small, what is that immediate physical feeling? Is it that hot flush of embarrassment? That awful knot in your stomach? That feeling right there is exactly what we're going to unpack and re-engineer today. And this builds perfectly on where we've been. First, we started with just understanding what imposter syndrome even is. Then we moved on to identifying our personal triggers. And last time, we talked about challenging those negative thoughts. Well, today, we get to the absolute root of it all, our deep-seated fear of failure. Our relationship with failure, it truly sits underneath so much of the anxiety and self-doubt that comes with imposter syndrome. You can think of it like the engine room. And if we can understand how that engine works, we can start to change how the whole system operates. And this right here gets to the heart of it. See, it's not just about getting something wrong. It's that deep, gnawing fear that a single mistake will be the final piece of evidence, the smoking gun, that proves you're a fraud and you're not as smart or as capable as everyone seems to think you are. So why? Why does one little mistake feel so incredibly threatening? The emotional reaction is often just completely out of proportion to the actual event, right? Let's dig into the mechanics behind why that happens. Okay, this contrast is everything. For most people, a setback is just a piece of data. It's an opportunity to learn something new. But when imposter syndrome has its hooks in you, that exact same setback feels like a final verdict. It feels like proof positive that you just don't belong here. There's actually a name for this. It's called an identity threat. Your brain isn't just processing feedback on your performance like, oh, I should try that differently next time. No. It's interpreting the mistake as a fundamental attack on who you are, on your competence, and your very right to be in the room. And that's why the emotional reaction is so powerful. And look, we are all wired with this. Every one of us has a natural built-in system that's constantly scanning for errors, for potential criticism, for any kind of social risk. It's a survival mechanism designed to keep us safe in the tribe. The problem isn't the system itself. The problem is that imposter syndrome cranks the volume on that system all the way to 11. It becomes hyperactive. So instead of a neutral observation like, well, that didn't go as planned, the internal monologue just leaps straight to a catastrophic conclusion. This is it. This proves I'm a total failure. Now, this is the most important thing I want you to hear today. That intense, gut-wrenching reaction, it's a mental habit. It's just a well-worn path in your brain. It is not an objective, unchangeable truth about you or your abilities. And you know the great thing about habits? They can be broken and new ones can be built. Which brings us to our secret weapon for this week, the great reframe. This is where we stop just reacting and we start to actively build that new mental habit, changing our relationship with setbacks for good. Just let that one sink in for a second. It's so simple, but it's incredibly profound. A mistake is not a failure. It's not a verdict. It's not proof of anything bad about you. It is just information. It's data. It's feedback that you can actually use. I mean, think about it. No one, and I mean no one, develops mastery at anything through flawless performance. All skill development, from learning to walk to becoming a world-class surgeon, requires trial and error. Mastery is built on thousands of these little feedback loops, and mistakes are a non-negotiable part of that process. This whole idea is at the very heart of having a growth mindset. So with a fixed mindset, which is really the fuel for imposter syndrome, failure feels like this permanent stamp that just says, I'm not capable. But with a growth mindset, failure is reframed as, oh, okay, this is just part of the learning process. This is how I get better. Our entire goal is to shift from that first one to the second one. So how do we actually do that, like in a practical way? Well, let's look at our new map for navigating setbacks. Instead of getting stuck in that downward spiral of self-criticism, we're going to create a productive, forward-moving loop. I'm guessing this one looks pretty familiar. Something doesn't go right. The immediate next step is this intense wave of self-criticism. And what does that lead to? Avoidance. We become terrified to try again, afraid to take on new challenges because we just don't want to feel that awful feeling of failure again. It keeps us completely stuck. But now look at this. This is our new pathway. We have the exact same starting point, an outcome. But, and this is the game changer, instead of self-criticism, we move to reflection. What happened? Why did it happen? From that calm reflection, we can make an adjustment, and that adjustment leads directly to improvement. See, it's a cycle of growth, not a cycle of fear. By adopting this new learning loop, we fundamentally change the role that failure plays in our lives. It's no longer the enemy, not the threat that's hiding around the corner. Instead, it becomes our most effective and powerful teacher. And here's why this works on a brain level. The old self-criticism loop that puts your brain into threat mode. It's emotional, it's defensive, and it's totally shut down to new learning. The learning loop, though, it shifts your brain into problem-solving mode. It becomes analytical, curious, adaptive. You're literally using a different part of your brain to process the exact same event. You know, we have this idea that confidence comes from a long track record of never ever failing. But that's not true at all. Real durable confidence, it comes from collecting evidence that you can handle things when they inevitably go wrong. It's built from resilience, not from perfection. Exactly. Every single time you experience a setback and you use this learning loop to adapt and recover, you're putting another brick in the foundation of genuine self-trust. You're teaching yourself through actual lived experience that you are capable of handling challenges, and that is a source of confidence that no one can ever take away from you. Because think about it. The cost of avoiding failure is stagnation. The price we pay for never wanting to make a mistake is never truly growing or discovering what we're actually capable of. By embracing setbacks as just part of the process, we open ourselves up to our own potential. So I want to leave you with this one question. The next time something doesn't go as planned, before that inner critic can even start talking, I want you to just pause, take a breath, and ask yourself this one simple thing. Because asking this question instantly shifts your brain from threat mode to learning mode. It turns every single failure from a verdict into a valuable lesson.